Hello, Theodora.
Hello, Melinda. Will you be my host?
Yes, I'll be your host for today. We have received your presentation.
Yeah. Will you upload it as I?
Yeah, we will upload it for you. You can just inform us during the change of the slide. Okay, we'll just
Yes,
do it for
yes.
you.
It's just 6, 7 slides, not a lot.
Yeah, we'll just start with your bio, then you can proceed with your presentation.
Okay.
Theodora Kamenova is a master certified coach with over 2,600 coaching hours, specializing in communication, mindfulness, and leadership. Founder of Connect Teddy Limited, she mentors, coaches, and works with Fortune 500 companies to drive personal and professional transformation. She has served in leadership roles within the ICF coaching community. That was a great bio, Theodora. Now we can start with your presentation.
I can start. I am not hearing you, Melinda. Hello. Do you hear me? Shruti, do you hear me? Thank you, Shruti, for uploading the PowerPoint. Just checking if you hear me. All right, so I guess I need to start 5 minutes earlier. Just concerning my sound, I see participants are hearing me. And Shruti, since I'll be asking you to change slides, just wanted to make sure you hear me too. All right. Well, let me then start, since I see that you've already shifted to my first slide. The topic I want to present to you is really harnessing inner strength. As a coach, I include mindfulness also in my coaching, and you'll see at the end how and why I include horses. Let me first start off with how many of you are aware of The Ugly Duckling, the fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen? Even if you haven't heard about it, let me just recap what it is for those who haven't. It's basically a creature that is being born among and raised among ducks and thought that it's a duck, but everybody were calling them ugly, ugly, ugly. And in that limited environment, the ugly duckling, really felt out of place, like a misfit, and eventually decided to get out of this limiting environment and go on a self discovery journey. However, eventually, over time, while looking for its own strength, it actually turned out to be a swan, and that it has on one hand. And then when I think of all my over 2,800 hours with clients in my coaching business, this pretty much sums up the journey of my certain strengths not having a direction, not knowing what to do, or wondering about their own identity. And then gradually, over a period of time, when you meet a coach, you get into a non judgmental presence of the coach. The coach provides space for growth, for self reflection, for really going deep into self discovery without imposing any processes or imposing the self of a coach, so to say. So, through going through an exploration, the client becomes resilient, becomes self aware of certain blind spots, of things that are sabotaging themselves with, and gradually they realize their true potential, turning out that they have always been a swan and never a misfit duckling. So that transformation is coming not from the coach, but it's coming from that safe space that the coach provides for the client so that the client identifies their own clarity, their own strengths, um, finds confidence in themselves, and the courage to actually break away from any limiting belief that cross their own personal boundaries, identifying their own true self. So, just like in coaching, the change happens from within. So, if I may ask you to turn the next slide, please, Shruti. So, what I came up with is that this story is not only true for me as in my personal development journey, but it ended up being the story of so many of my clients, most of them women, which made me um, ask, are we all women having issues with boundaries? Are we all women expecting so many things that are coming our way that we need to handle with? And usually, the three main topics that clients come up with that I identified in my experience are basically exactly those three. Either I don't believe in myself, I'm not good enough, I don't know my strength, oftentimes, or I know, but I'm only showing my strengths at work and not at home, or I know who I am. I know I am an inborn swan, if I use that metaphor. But somehow, when it comes to communicating with my partner, with my kids, with my boss, with colleagues, in communication, I don't keep that boundary that I can call healthy boundary. Every now and then, I allow people to cross those boundaries. And a third thing that I see as a common topic in my coaching clients or in my coaching sessions is the difficulty to uphold our energy. We are either becoming workaholic or we are spending too much time in one area, let's say in the family, but then we don't feel apt to have our own businesses. It's always an up and down of energy flow. And oftentimes we don't realize that when we talk about boundaries, they're not only physical, they're also psychological, they're behavioral, they're relational and energetic. So, again, how often it happens in our lives that subconsciously, unwillingly, we allow people to cross our boundaries. Oh, sometimes people say, I don't have time to dot, dot, dot. But let's face it, there is only 24 hours in a day, so it's really not time, it's our energy. Oftentimes, if I speak about specifics, what might be a specific topic clients come up with in a coaching session, it is, I'm not good enough. I have that self doubt. I don't have a good sense of self worth. I need someone outside to validate that I'm worth. Or I have that inner self-sabotaging talk about who I am, or do I disrespect my own boundaries because I become people pleaser, for example, or do I judge myself in such a way that I don't dare to leave that limiting belief? Again, if I use the metaphor of the ugly duckling, you just stay there because you become gradually to believe that you are an ugly duckling, even though you may inside yourself know you're not. So, what is my goal when clients come my way with such topics? What is my goal as a coach? Of course, to do exactly what I do best. I take out all my tools from my master's tool set, all my competences. I listen deeply. I partner. I believe much more in my client than they believe in themselves. Through my listening skills, I'm also acting as a mirror. I'm asking questions so that they can increase their level of awareness. Oftentimes, I resort to silence just just so when I feel that when the client has hit an aha moment and need some time to stay there to finally take a glimpse of, I might be as one. Or sometimes we coaches challenge our clients in such a way so that they sense what would it happen if you always stay with the ducks? You will never identify your true self, and you would never dare to cross the boundaries that sometimes the society brings us, sometimes the family, sometimes it's a belief system, sometimes it's um, what we think is our national identity is just habits, most of all. But when we dare to peek deeper and when we have a coach to work with, when that coach integrates, I do that in every session pretty much, mindfulness, just to be here and now. To be here and now. Why? Because in that silence, when we're not constantly yakety yakety, when we're not constantly into that chatter of inner voice, of listening to outside people calling us, you're an ugly duckling, you're so ugly, in that silence, in that moment of mindfulness, here and now, only then in silence we can actually hear what's inside of us, what has always been our inner strength. But we have to find a way to tap into it. So, as a coach, going back to my master tools, the tool set, I um, partner my clients to identify what their challenges are, how to tackle them in a supportive way, etc. And oftentimes I also resort to being a mirror and showing them their gestures, asking them curiously, what might that mean for you? What is your meaning making out of it? And gradually over time, of course, that's the power of coaching and mindfulness to become aware of your inner strength. The client, of course, over a period of time, identifies a new set of belief systems or habits, equips themselves with a new set of skills or beliefs, as I said, and they gradually start expressing their inner self in a much more respectful, self respectful way. And of course, they start living through their value and showing their inner strength outside in the world. However, over the 12 years of my experience, I began to notice that sometimes these changes that coaching and mindfulness are contributing to they're not necessarily with all clients becoming sustainable. There are ups and downs. Things happen. The world is changing. Even now, even more so, we can talk about change in the environment. And again, we can resort back, and I have clients that resort back to their previous behavior, to their previous beliefs, because it has been habitual all their life. Sometimes they would come back to coaching, asking us to reconnect, and if they've lost the momentum, asking me to start a new program for them, a new coaching program. And what do I do? Of course, I reconnect, but I cannot help. I've been bugging myself with this question. I couldn't help but think, what might be a better way, or another way, or a supportive way through the coaching and mindfulness, the results we get there, to make these changes sustainable, to make them stick. And I found out the hardest thing is to embody the change. Because when you come to a coaching session, you have one topic you discuss. I want to explore my boundaries, for example, at home. I don't want any longer to allow my partner to ta 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 ta. Then you need to wait for another coaching session to talk about your boundaries at work and how you're sick and tired of your boss crossing your boundaries and you're sick and tired of not being able to uphold what you think is inside of you. You know it's there, but somehow something is lacking to make that change stick. Or people start asking, and since I'm also a coach, but I'm also a client, I asked also myself, how can I uphold my own boundaries in all areas of life simultaneously? And I came up with a solution that I'll share with you in a moment. But before that, I wanted to take you on a personal journey, and I'll ask our beautiful host to change the slide, please. Thank you. So before I get to my solution that I found, just to check if it resonates with you, and then I'll have an offer for all of you how you can make it for yourself. I invite you for a moment to imagine that you're the lady in the picture. And imagine you're sitting at the deck. You're looking at the lake and just pondering on your own boundaries, inner strength that you kind of feel is bubbling up inside of you. And you want to take it out in the world and share your wisdom and strength. And if you want, you can take notes about your reflections. I'll assist you with a few coaching questions. If you don't want to write it down, you can simply let yourself sink in the chair and ponder about the possible answers. What is my issue that I keep struggling with when it comes to keeping boundaries? I'm leaving you some time to step into it, into your wiser self, or to write down your answers. What is my issue with preserving my energy throughout the day, throughout the period of time? What is it, in other words, that I'm sick and tired of as far as boundaries and certain limiting beliefs or habits? If we use the metaphor of the fairy tale of the ugly duckling, what area am I perceived as other people as an ugly duckling in? Or it might not be that others perceive me. Others may tell me I'm a beautiful swan because they see something in us. They see our inner strength. However, we're being too humble and say, nah, thank you. But in other words, what am I perceiving myself as an ugly duckling in? What area? What am I feeling inside is my strength and just waits to be exhibited, to be shared as a gift, my inner truth with the world. What are people, family members, bosses, siblings, children, partners telling me that ugh, as soon as I start to get my strength out, what they tell me kind of make my strength decrease? How am I allowing other people to cross my boundaries? What belief about myself am I identifying that is hindering me, self sabotaging myself with? And I know it's no longer serving me. It could be any other question that in that moment of silence that is a luxury nowadays, when everyone around us and the world is just like ducklings. There's so much chatter, we don't give ourselves mindful time to just see the silent voice of our inner strength and listen to it. So, just due to time, I invite you for a brief moment to take a leap in time. Imagine as if you've been through that coaching and mindfulness journey over a period of time, and now is the right moment of truth when, just like in the fairy tale, you're just about to take a look in the water and wow, to see the beautiful swan there. So just visualize it as if possible in real life. Imagine you're on that deck again. You sense the breeze. You can smell the fragrance of the trees blossoming. You can hear the waves of the lake splashing, or rather not splashing because it's silent, like clear glass, like mirror. And it's whispering something to you that you're just about to see in a moment when you take a look at it and see your reflection. And when you feel truly connected with your wiser inner self, I actually invite you to take that action, because simply becoming aware is not leading us to change. It's the action that leads us to change and transformation. So I invite you to either take out a real mirror, and I'll invite the host to change the slide, please. Thank you. And there, bravely, as a true swan that has always been a swan but didn't know it for a period of time, to take a look in the mirror. Take a look down in the clear lake, if you prefer. Or, as the modern woman, as we all are, you can take out your smartphone and turn on the functionality of a selfie. Hey, what am I seeing in the mirror now, after I've been brave enough to go through coaching, mindfulness, or whatever practice you have as your own journey through transformation? And again, I'll give you a few more seconds. I don't want to rush. It's not a presentation of knowledge, it's about experiencing it. What do you see in the mirror? Once the transformation has happened, what assisted you? What resources of yours, or skills, or beliefs? How did I manage to transform into what I wanted or always felt I am? What were the milestones I've been through that led me to this inner transformation? Who accompanied me on this journey? What became possible once I've made this brave action and once I've been through this shift that resulted in setting and maintaining and harnessing my boundaries? And maybe what resources do I need additionally in order to better see my inner strength or exhibit it outside to the world to make it sustainable. And as much as I love these processes, and I always give much more time to my clients in my real coaching sessions, just due to time, I invite you back in front of the computer screens here and now for a brief moment. I wish we had time so that I can see some answers in the chat. What has been your takeaway so far with just these two, um, just with these questions, just sitting mindfully, giving yourself time in this hurry of the time we live in. But um, since we don't have that much time and I cannot hear your answers, I would love, pardon me, to jump to share with you the follow-up questions that I asked myself once I've done this exercise. And if I may ask you, Shruti, to pass on the next, to share the next slide, please. Um, so my personal journey from an ugly duckling to a swan, so to say, went through all these questions, and I came to a point where, of course, as a seasoned coach, I wanted also to assist other people to do that. And I asked myself the beautiful questions, what if questions. What if the ugly duckling had a creature, a mindful companion along the journey beside it that could that the duckling could practice with, to practice self-compassion, positive self-talk, to someone to practice the boundaries, and not to a need to wait until the next coaching session where you would pose another goal of yours. But when it comes to boundaries, someone I can practice with, another being. What if the ugly duckling had a mirror walking side by side it and giving it instant feedback? And what if that creature, just like a coach, could give an nurturing, judgment-free zone, an environment, allowing my inner strength to come up and allowing that beauty of the beautiful swan to be seen much earlier. And my personal journey, my quest led me to Julia Slavov-Tonev that you see in the picture in the white shirt. She is a specialist in horse human psychology. And if you're curious to see her in action, you can scan the QR code. It will take you just to a 1 minute long reel in her Facebook where you can actually see her. Because I think when a picture is not moving, when it's not a video, we cannot saturate all of our senses to imagine how is it happening. What is Theodora talking to us about if you cannot picture it, if you cannot imagine it? So again, speaking on my behalf, but it absolutely the same is true for all of my clients. That's how my journey to sustained healthy boundaries began. So I was when I went to Julia and when I trained myself through the help of the horses, it was mind blowing how everything from that I have over the years piled up in my as an experience in my coaching back, so to say, everything was interrelated and it was integrated in just 3 encounters with the horses. It took just 3 days, but it was so overwhelming, is the best word, that I couldn't fathom how on earth is it possible that a horse can be a trainer, almost like a coach actually, and how a small shift in me, it could be like my breathing or my gaze or my tone of voice or just my action or in a slowing a gesture. How can it result in the horse to be with me? Basically, it was just like in a coach client relationship when I was in the ranch in the round pen with the horse, and it felt I felt what I've always needed was missing from coaching and mindfulness perspective was that true embodiment. I was practicing with the horse my emotional agility, how to say no, and believe it or not, it's not I either say yes or no to someone crossing my boundaries, but there is a whole lot in between. There are ways you can actually get yourself ready to embody your healthy boundaries. Not just say, oh, they're crossing my boundaries, but what depends on me? So my lesson learned was that when I met with the horse and Julia, I integrated everything I've ever known, just like the ugly duckling. I listened to my intuition, I listened to my true self, and I was able to exhibit it. I was able to uphold it when I embodied it. And it went just in those three sessions with the horses. I was able, right after that, having practiced with the horse first, to actually implement it in my home with my husband. Oh, God, that was great. Then at work with my partners, business partners, then with colleagues, and everything came into place, so to say. It was that pinch of a miracle that in every fairy tale we see at the end, when the ending is they lived happily ever after. But I truly felt that the biggest difference for me was meeting the horse, and how I learned through the horse to embody really healthy boundaries in any setting. Um, and believe me, it's amazing when you see who you truly are, when you see and believe, you see it exhibited in the mirror, in the lake, who you truly are, your authentic self. So what shifted against in me ultimately was exactly those three frequent topics that clients came to the session with. The belief in myself shifted, that I'm worth and I have strengths that the world needs, and I'm ready finally to exhibit and share. I was able, when I was interacting with others, to uphold my healthy boundaries, and I was finally able to manage my energy and approach any challenges in the world. So, if I may ask our host to share the next slide, please. So, if my story resonates with you, I've shared with you how I went through my own journey, from an ugly duckling to a swan, in setting and redefining and harnessing and maintaining my boundaries to the world. I'm inviting you to a retreat if you're ready to step up, and give this present to yourself to experience this integration in whatever area you want. I'm inviting you to a 6 day long retreat in Bulgaria, where I will see you in person rather than me speaking and you writing in the chat probably. And you can scan the QR code that will take you directly to the registration link, and you can check out what is it that we offer. And I believe as women, we know that the world needs have so many requirements of us, needs us so much nowadays, and every woman needs a sanctuary to simply be accompanied with the company of other women, beyond any expectations that the world weighs on us, any roles that we have in our everyday life. So if my story resonates with you, and if you want to try it firsthand, how to harness your inner strength as a powerful way to practice with another being, a mindful horse, of course, through the help of Julia and me, I would be very happy if I see you in Bulgaria. If you want, I will share the link in the chat now. If you don't like dealing with um, QR codes, that's also an option. And then I invite the host to share the last slide. I'm looking forward to meeting you in Bulgaria if this resonates. And I just wanted to make you smile. In Bulgarian, the word kon means horse. So let's stay connected. And I hope we have time for questions.
That was an amazing question, Theodora. You had great insight about our inner strength through your speech. Hope our audience thoroughly enjoyed it with your examples and all realistic things which you have explained. It was really great to interact with you. We have a few questions from our audience. How can mindfulness be tailored for high pressure corporate environments?
Thank you for the question. It actually recently mindfulness has taken a new dimension. I mean, more and more corporations are even hiring people who would be in charge as part of their team, who would be in charge of well-being of the staff. And mindfulness is an integral part of it. Mindfulness practices can be as simple as let the team get together in a team setting and start every working day with a 5 or 10 minute mindfulness exercise. You don't need that much time. You don't need to have a separate time slot in the working day to do that. But HRs are more and more active on that. CEOs are picking up on this because if you want more effectiveness, if you want KPIs and results, the people are bringing you the results. So you need to invest in their well being. So mindfulness is just one of the many ways, possibly. Coaching is another, but mindfulness sometimes could be enough to just be here and now, to listen to ourselves, to get ourselves and our energy, to give ourselves an energy boost, and then jump into the working day.
Thank you so much. Hope our audience might feel helpful with your answer. Hope they dedicate 5 to 10 minutes every day on mindfulness.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We have further sessions too, so please do join us for further sessions.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I hope to see you in Bulgaria.
For sure.